Welcome back. Here with us on Urban Debate on Mirror Now. As COVID cases show a slight dip in Mumbai, in Maharashtra overall as well, state government will be holding a cabinet meeting tomorrow in which the decision to reopen schools is likely to be taken. Today, the financial capital registered 6,032 cases and the positivity rate has also come down sharply to about 10% now. Here is Mumbai's COVID tracker for you. So on 13th of January, when Mumbai saw about 13.7 thousand cases, the number has been steadily coming down. And on 18th of January, we have seen about 6.1 thousand cases. On 19th of January, the data suggests that 6,000 odd cases were reported in a single day. Now, schools in Maharashtra are currently closed till 31st of January, and the final decision to reopen them lies with the Chief Minister of Maharashtra. Maharashtra's Education Minister has also written to Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray to take a decision on this at the earliest, but there seems to be mixed response that we have got so far on whether the schools should reopen or they should still remain closed for some more time, because many believe that this in fact, decline in cases that we are seeing right now, it could be temporary. It could also be because a lot of people are using home kits, and hence those numbers are not being properly reported in the daily COVID count that we are seeing coming from Mumbai as well as other parts of Maharashtra. So tonight we will try and ask the experts and also try and speak to the parents as to what they have to say about this particular matter. And phone lines are also going to be open. The numbers will be flashing at the bottom of your screens. You can call us as well and share with us your concerns if you have any questions about this. And this is a clear invitation to parents across parts of Mumbai. In case there are any questions or concerns that you have, then you can call us and ask us as well over the next 30 minutes. And that's going to be our big discussion. Joining us on the broadcast this evening is Dr. Samir Dalwai, NCP spokesperson. He's also a pediatrician. Dr. Jesal Sheth, senior consultant, pediatrician, Fortis Hospital, Mulund. Ravi Raja, leader of opposition BMC, and Archana Ahire, who is a principal, who is in fact from Chabildas English Medium School. Thank you very much, all of you, for joining us here on Urban Debate. Ravi Raja, let me begin the discussion with you. Can you tell us how the situation really is in parts of Mumbai? Are we given to believe, are we given to understand that the situation is getting better, or the real numbers are not coming out because a lot of people are testing at home using home kits, and hence the COVID daily count is appearing to be better?
No, as per the questions you asked me, the situation in Mumbai has improved a lot. If you see the rate of testing done by the BMC, today the figures have come to around 6,000. But the rate of death, if you see, is nearly 11% have passed away. But overall, if you see the overall situation in city of Mumbai, I think things are better and positivity rate has come down. So it is high time that the commissioner has taken a decision where the schools has to be opened, and testing also. If you see the testing every day, today we have done the testing around 62,000. So the positivity rate has nearly come down, and it is showing a good sign for the people of Mumbaikars, and things are getting better because the usage of oxygen beds are very less. People going into ICU and critical are also very less. So overall, if you see, the situation in city of Mumbai has been improving, and I hope that in the coming days it will improve and will be much better.
Okay, so you're telling us the situation is much better. Archana Ahire, are you convinced?
Yeah, first of all, good evening, all present on the dais. Yes, I feel the numbers are reducing as per the news that are coming in. These are the figures given by BMC. people are using the self-testing kits, and they need to inform the BMC so that we get a correct count. I do agree that the numbers are decreasing.
Okay. Dr. Dalwai, now is it then the right time to reopen schools for children? Because even the vaccination drive, in the age group of 16 to 15 to 17 is underway and is also picking up pace.
So good evening, ma'am, and thanks for the opportunity. And I'm going to start on a little discordant note. It is time to de-link anything about this pandemic now with opening or shutting of schools. And it is very clear that we must understand this very simply. And we cannot keep on discussing either 26th January or 27th January or 25th January or whatever the date, as if it is a specific, very highly scientific date on which to restart schools. And I'll make my points very clear. Over the last 2 years now, across the world, wherever schools have been running, to whatever degree they did, there has not been a single reported outbreak of COVID related to the schools which were running. There is not a single outbreak of COVID in adults or geriatric population connected to school reopening. In the last 15th of December, most of the schools in Maharashtra had been opened, at least above grade 5 in the rural areas and above grade 8 in the urban areas. There has not been a single death, fortunately, from any such children who have gone to schools. Moreover, the morbidity and deaths due to childhood tuberculosis over the last 2 years is more than what has happened in children in the last 3 waves, in spite of these waves and many variants. What are we actually looking at? Because more such variants are reported to be on the way. Now, after Omicron gets over, there may be 10 more variants. Are we going to keep looking at the numbers of infected people in the city and the children school reopening or not reopening? That may have been appropriate earlier after 2 years of watchful waiting.
But sir, we have seen some schools, seeing increase in number of COVID cases, at least in Karnataka. There are many such examples that have come from Karnataka, especially, and that is why there are concerns.
Let me respectfully interrupt you. Without schools opening, is there no infection in children? Children are going to resorts, children are going to shopping malls, children are going to movies, children have gone for New Year parties. Are there no infections in children? Their schools should open. There will be an increase in the number of infections in children. Like in every flu, every time there is a measles epidemic, every time there is a rubella outbreak, there will be infections. There will be infections with Omicron, and there will be 10 more variants coming now. There will be infection. Important point to note is morbidity is very less. We cannot keep having, this is not a political talk at all. This is a plea to the parents. The parents have to get up now and demand that schools have to open, and though it cannot be made mandatory in view of human rights, it is my very sincere appeal to parents, please send your children to school, whether it is 26th January it opens in Mumbai or 27th or 28th, it doesn't matter, but in your minds, dealing school opening with the numbers that are going up and down. There is no connection between the two. In spite of whichever we have run the schools, yes, there will be a rise in infection. It is bound to happen. It's a viral infection. But there is no morbidity. We had reserved 5% of beds in Maharashtra for children during the third wave. Not even 10% of those 5% have been occupied. What are we worried about? We are spoiling children's childhood. It is 2 years, and this has to stop.
Yeah, I absolutely, sorry to interrupt, but I absolutely
Well, that's a very important point you've made, Archana Ahire. Yes.
Yes, I absolutely agree with what Dr. Samir Dalwai has to say. Children are moving everywhere. Then is it that the corona is only in schools? And the schools are ready to take the responsibility. The schools are ready to follow the SOP to the core. Then why is it that the parents are not sending? As doctor said, yes, the parents have to wake up now. How many years are they going to make the children sit in their house? There is absolutely no learning happening through online. It is just 1 or 2 part of learning that is happening. I absolutely agree with what Dr. Samir Dalwai is saying. I feel the parents should now wake up. send the children. The schools are ready to take the responsibility. I, as a responsible principal of GEI Shabildas English Medium School, take the responsibility of the children. We are following all the norms that are being given by the government. I appeal to the parents to send the children to school. It is not right for them to be kept at home. Their childhood is getting lost. I would really agree with what Dr.
Well, over
Dalwai is saying.
600 days, they have been at home and have been, in fact, studying via their smartphones or laptops or computers. So clearly, this is the time now to get them back to school. And it's good to hear the assurance that has come from the school principal, from the doctor here on the panel as well, that, it is important now that schools are ready to follow the SOP, and hence children should be sent back to school. Dr. Jesal, where do you stand on this particular matter? Do you think it's safe now for children? Because the vaccination process has also started. So maybe if not the younger kids, then, kids maybe in the classes of from 9th to 12th can start coming back to schools. For them, the schools can reopen.
So I agree with what Dr. Dalwai has said, but let me just tell you the medical facts. In the January 1st week, January 2nd week, I have seen the only and only COVID from morning to evening. But I also want to assure the parents that, children were unwell for 2-3 days. They had a high-grade fever, cough, cold, but all of them recovered. I was almost majority of them recovered in a span of 3 days. And actually, rare children required hospitalization, even the IV therapy. So that is reassuring. As Dr. Dalwai said, in the past also we had a pandemic or the epidemics of other viruses where children were unwell with the flu-like symptoms, took the medications and returned to home. This is going to be the case in the future also. When the cases will increase, if number of the hospitalization will increase, complications will increase, we will go back to the curfew situation, lockdown situation and online class. But we are never going to find a perfect day, perfect week, perfect month when we say we will not have the disease either because of the COVID or COVID-like viruses. So I agree with my speakers, colleagues, that looking at the benefit and the disadvantages of not sending the school, I think children are very frustrated. We are seeing a lot of psychological impact, irritability, poor social performances, coping skills and all. It is the right time to send the children to the school. But also, as parents have to take their ownership, work hand in hand with the school, keep telling the children to use the COVID appropriate behavior and send the children to school. And there is also a possibility that if the number of the hospitalization in case if it increases, then again there will be kind of lockdown. If you look at the Omicron cases and school pattern in UK, because UK was ahead of us for this Omicron virus and the rising cases, they have also observed the same thing, that children were unwell but not needed hospitalization, recovered well, so they have also started the school and they are 1 month at least ahead of us. So looking at their experiences, I think I agree that I wouldn't say that it is safe, but just looking at the overall thing that children are not requiring hospitalization right now, not requiring ICU beds, oxygen beds, not becoming seriously unwell, but even if they catch the infection, they are recovering in a span of 2 to 3 days with the supportive treatment. I think we can take that risk to send the children to the school.
Okay, we can take the risk to send the children to school. This is the right time. So that's the view coming in from our panelists today. Let's also hear what the people of Maharashtra, what the people really, the viewers have to say about this very particular issue. Kavita is joining us from Salem. Kavita, thank you for joining us here on Mirror Now. What is it that you will like to ask?
Yes, as the madam told earlier, it is the right time for the students to come into the school, because past 2 years, children have gone really psychologically, they have been affected. And as ma'am told earlier, children are able to overcome the viral fever. And as we come to know, they are not being hospitalized, there is no need of ICU. What I feel is it is better for us children to come to school. It is the right time. And I hope, since the second dosage is going on for even for the 9 to 12 standard students, I don't think there is going to be risk to bring the students into 9, 10, 11, 12. It is better. As a parent and an academic coordinator, I feel 9 to 12 standard students can enter into the school campus for their betterment. And thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, Kavita, for joining us here on Mirror Now. Vishal is also joining us from Mumbai. Vishal, good evening. Thank you for calling us here on Mirror Now. What is it that you would like to ask?
Yeah, good evening. See, I'm a parent of a child who has just gone into the 18th year. What my submission is, see, now the government has opened vaccination for the age group of 15 to 18 and from January onwards. And most of the children in this 15 to 18 group are the children who will be appearing for the board exams in this year, either 10th or 12th. My suggestion is that let these children get vaccinated doubly because the interval is only 28 days. Most of them will get vaccinated by the end of February. And by the end of February, you can start the schools for them so that at least you don't risk those students who will be appearing for the board right now in this year. That is the only submission. Thanks.
Okay. Okay, interesting point there, Vishal. Appreciate you joining us here on Mirror Now. Let's take one more viewer and then we'll go across to our guests for their comments on what the people have to say. Milind is joining us from Mumbai too. Milind, good evening. Thank you for calling us here on Mirror Now. What is that you would like to ask?
Yeah, good evening. See, I think at least the schools should reopen if they are following strict norms and they're wearing masks, and the teachers especially are vaccinated. So I think there should not be any crowding in the schools as compared to what is there in the public, in the trains or in the roads, where you have huge crowds in shopping malls and other things. So I think if you maintain discipline, it is a safer option. I think the children need to be physically present in school to be able to study.
All right. Thank you very much, Milind. Appreciate you joining us here on Mirror Now. Mr. Ravi Raja, you heard the three viewers here, and I want you to, tell us a little bit about the view of the, BMC specifically about the issue of vaccination, because some parents, like Mr. Vishal, feel that let the children get fully vaccinated first, maybe by the end of February, and then it could be the right time to reopen schools. That will be like another shield, another assurance for the parents.
No, as you know, that for the age group of 15 and 18, the vaccination has already been started and it has been going smoothly. And a lot of students are coming to the centers and taking their vaccination. But regarding the vaccination, that is, if you say between 10 and 15, 10 and 14, I think the call has to be taken by the central government, and as it stands, I think within a period of 2-3 months, I think even the children will be provided vaccination. But what I want to say that the eminent panelist who was there in the show, we have got a pediatrician and we have got a principal. What I understand is that, if all the SOPs are properly implemented and properly taken care of, I think, opening of the school, and it is high time that, students has to come to the school. As we heard from the panelists, the students are psychologically feeling, now drained out. Everybody is on the computer. They are not, they want to be out, the students who are the future. If you see the last 2 years, they have been just in the front of the computer and, on the virtual and online classes are going on. But the physical presence and being in the school and learning physically, learning live from the teachers and interacting with the students, I think that is where the students will get more and more, see, 2 years is a big time. So it will take some time for the students also to get used to the new situation. The new situation is to go into the school. So I think BMC has adopted all the precaution, and Education Department of the Mumbai Mahanagar Palika has given SOPs to the schools. And as you know that, some schools have started, but because of the third wave of Omicron, the schools has been, they have asked the students not to go to school. But now, I think from 27th, what I understand, the BMC will start, giving instructions that the students of the higher class can go, and then from the 5th or to 8th. This is the pattern we have to. And now this Omicron, as the panelist is saying, that Omicron is like a flu, and we can properly take care of the students, and students should be.
So we are well equipped to handle the current situation. That's the view coming from the BMC, and hence it's safe to send kids back to school. That's the point I think that Mr. Ravi Raja was trying to make. I want to go across to quickly the two doctors on the panel and get their view on what the viewers had to say. Very quickly, Dr. Dalwai, to you first. Will it be safe to send students of all classes back to their classrooms, or do you think it should, to begin with rather, it should only be for students who are getting vaccinated, as in maybe students from class 9th to 12th to begin with, say in the first phase? What is your recommendation?
Ms. Heena ji, I would like to address a question by Mr. Jesal Sheth and make it very clear to him that vaccination has nothing to do with school opening or sending your children to school. This is the science across the whole world. There is no reason to link vaccination to attendance to schools. Let me take one more minute to explain that vaccination builds immunity in your body to prevent the disease from becoming serious in you. It doesn't prevent you from catching the infection. The only way you can prevent from catching the infection is by wearing a mask and keeping safe distance. So I would like to very honorably, respectfully tell all the parents, there is no connection between vaccination and school reopening, and hence whether vaccination is available for 15 to 18 and not available below 15, there is no connection between starting school. So the way your question, what should start first, it is a totally administrative decision. If the administration has things in place, and let me tell you, the Maharashtra government pediatric task force, of which I am a member, as well as my respected friend Mrs. Varshatai Gaikwad's team, has together come out with excellent guidelines which have already been shared with the schools and parents. As long as they are followed and the administration can put it up, all children can go to school forthwith. There is no issue about it at all. One last point, if you permit me, Heena ji, I would like to say that this is a very crucial when it comes to children's health. Honorable CM Shri Uddhavji Thackeray is the final arbiter who will decide, and he will take the decision. That is his right as the Chief Minister. He will obviously err on the side of being careful when it comes to children, and I endorse that. Hence, issue should be taken out of the political hands, and it should be taken by parents and school teachers. Get together, all of you, and make the joint demand. Call doctors from across the spectrum, call political leaders from all political parties to join you, and make every political leader say that please go to our school. Let us strengthen
and that's the reason, Dr. Dalwai, we are having this discussion as well today, to understand the viewpoint and to also hear from the people of the country, not just people from Mumbai, but across the country, what they feel about this particular issue. Because if Mumbai decides tomorrow to reopen schools, then even children in other parts of the country also would want to go back to their classrooms. We have, in fact, a student now joining us on the broadcast this evening from Hyderabad. We have Anusha. Good evening, Anusha. Thank you for calling us here on Mirror Now. What is it that you will like to ask?
Okay. Actually, right now I'm in first year of college, and I missed my entire 12th and now even the first year of college due to online classes. And there's this entire feeling of hopelessness that you feel, because online was supposed to be substituted. It was never supposed to be like permanent. But now you feel like for 2 years it's been going online. What is the guarantee next 2 years also won't be online? So you have this feeling of hopelessness, there's so much frustration, you can't meet your friends, and there's no real learning happening also. And Corona might never end, so when will you open if not now?
Well, Anusha, that's a very important point that you've made. Thank you very much for calling us here on Mirror Now and sharing with us your experience, because that is important. And that's something that other students in other parts of the country would also be going through. Miss Archana wants to respond to what Anusha said.
Yes, this is, thank you. This is this is an issue raised by each and every child. When I visit the classes, the online classes, my children also ask the same thing. Are the schools going to start? ma'am, we do not like to go for an online session. They are missing school, they are missing colleges, the fun, the education part, the bonding with the teachers. All these things only happens when the child is here physically. They want to share. The children are so sensitive. There are certain things which they share with their teachers. They do not share with their parents. They share with their teachers, they share with their friends, and then they are missing out. Somewhere psychologically, these things are affecting the child's growth also. That is the reason why I appeal again to the government to please take a decision as soon as early. And rightly, as what Dr. Dalwai said, 9th, 10th standard phase has already started. They have already started going to school. It was just a break that has been taken. I think it is now time to start with the lower classes also. Maybe if not pre-primary, primary can also start now. And it is high time now for the government to start the schools.
Okay, we have another viewer joining us on the broadcast this evening, Purnima from Delhi, and she's a teacher. Good evening, Purnima. Thank you for calling us here on Mirror Now. What is that you would like to ask?
Hi, good evening. I just wanted to say, that we are ruining the entire generation here. And they are having a habit of now staying at home. They are finding excuses for themselves. And even the parents have got, very relaxed now. Initially, we were having quite a few of number in the online classes, but now there are hardly any students coming for online classes, which I really find that, that it is really bad for our future generation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Purnima. Appreciate you joining us here on Mirror Now and telling us how the situation is on the ground. Children clearly are also fed up of having these online classes. Hardly any students coming for that too. Let's take another viewer as well joining us on the broadcast. Narendra from Mumbai. Good evening, Mr. Narendra. Thank you for calling us here on Mirror Now. What is it that you would like to ask?
Good evening, ma'am. I just wanted to say that I am a father of one child. My son is studying in Mumbai. And he's in 8th standard. My concern is that I wanted to send him to the school because I'm seeing him in these online classes. They are missing what we are actually enjoyed in our life. Their growth is totally stagnated. I just wanted to, but my concern is that in his class, there are almost 60 to 70 students are there. In each division, there are 5 divisions. Like this, 5th standard to 10th standard, there are 5 divisions, 80 students are there. How is it possible to follow these COVID appropriate norms in the schools? Are there any guidelines or any preparation made by the government so that we can be sure and send our children to the schools? Thank you very much.
Okay. Mr. Narendra, appreciate you joining us here on Mirror Now. Let's get that concern addressed as well by our experts. Now, Dr. Jesal, you heard the concerns of the viewers, the parents specifically. Now here, the child is in 8th standard and there are about 50 to 70 students in one class, in one division. That is another worry, overcrowding.
So I have not read the guideline of Maharashtra government given to the schools, but I am sure that it would certainly kind of, include this aspect. But what I would like to tell the father and every parent is, pandemic, first of all, we cannot say that we have ruined these 2 years. And it's not that the children who are facing the psychological problem. I think all of us, whether we admit or not, because of the social isolation, all of us have some symptoms. Children are the one we comment, they can't comment on us. Now we have to adapt to this situation. We have a good news that in this third wave, we are not seeing too many hospitalization, too many ICU stay, which is a reassuring part. When we send the child to the school, we cannot leave all responsibilities to the principals and the school admin. We have to work hand in hand. Every day we have to reinforce to our children to, use the COVID appropriate behavior, whether they are going for the social function, to the malls, to the gardens, to play, or to the schools. This is today in 2022, this is a part of our life, COVID appropriate behavior. And I think schools also have to put lot of hard work to, adhere to the guidelines to prevent the, infection spread in the children. If your children have any flu-like symptoms, please, you don't send your children to the school, because many times people say, okay, I have a COVID but I have mild symptom, can I come? You have a mild symptoms, you may not be having the disease, but you infect other 10 people. This will never end. Pandemic will never end. We have to cut down on the spread by, isolating ourselves. So all of us have to take that ownership that if we develop the symptom, we isolate our self and actually cut down on the spread. So this is something, ownership has to be taken by every person of the society, whether they are parents, not parents, working in the society, working anywhere. We need to take this ownership. When we get symptoms, we isolate ourselves.
Can I just...
COVID appropriate behavior needs to be followed by everyone. Dr. Dalwai also wants to make a point. Yes, Dr. Dalwai.
Yeah, I agree with my friend Jesal completely. The guidelines are very clear that 50% attendance, or as far as distancing can be maintained, that has to be there. So the gentleman who asked, Mr. Narendra, yes, your child may not get to go to school every day, but schools will open. He may get to go alternate day, and there will be a hybrid mode where even online some classes will be continued. The point I'd like to make is, on the screen, I can see the ticker, but parents divided over reopening of schools. This is the ticker, and it's a fact. Parents are divided. My very humble, respectful request, those of you who don't want to send your children to school, fortunately, we are still in a democracy. Nobody is forcing you. It is not mandatory. Do not send your child to school. But for God's sake, don't raise your voice to say, don't start schools. You have no right to prevent and spoil the life of the other children. Just like there are people who, 10% people who don't want to take vaccines, okay, they have a right. It's not mandatory. Similarly, if you don't want to send your children, don't send. But please don't create a wrong impression in the minds of other parents and society that it is unsafe to send. That's what I'd like to say.
Important point you've made. Clearly, it's a huge responsibility among parents as well. There are concerns that need to be addressed, but simultaneously, they have to ensure that their children follow COVID-appropriate behavior when they are going to schools, because the responsibility just can't lie with the teachers and the administration. It has to be done together collectively. Now, Miss Archana, I want to understand from you, like one of the parents mentioned who had called that, the only worry is that there should not be any kind of overcrowding. And if there are like so many students, even though there's this 50% attendance norm that's there, yet how are you managing it? How does it work? How will you ensure that, this social distancing is maintained even though the children are coming to the classroom?
Okay, thank you very much. The thing is, the government has clearly said that if the school has to run in a 50% count. Apart from that, we have taken consent from the parents, those who want to send their children to school and those who don't want to. Now, the count it is not compulsory. The online, offline, both the sessions are going on. It is not a compulsory. It is not compulsory for any child to come to school. The parents who have sent the consent, if that number is high, then the 50% school will be running. Even the bench arrangements are done in such a way the child is made to sit on an alternative desk. The morning, afternoon sessions will be started. A clear indications and clear SOPs given by the government. Here I agree with Dr. Jesal that yes, parents should also be taking equal responsibility, because if a child is sick, what happens is generally the attitude of the parent is, okay, school has started, let us send, so we are free to go to our office and school will take care. No, it should not be that. It should be the parent is equally responsible. They have to train their children. I had taken a meeting with the parents and I had given them certain guidelines that after the school, when the child reaches home, he is supposed to be given a clean bath, a good hot food to drink, or maybe hot water gargle, and these precautions have to be taken by the parent also. The school is taking the responsibility, yes, but at the same time it is parents' responsibility also to take care of their own child. I think I've answered the query.
So you are assuring that SOPs are followed. Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
I have another question for Mr. Ravi Raja. But before that, we have two more viewers, in fact, joining us on the broadcast. Let's take their views as well. Bhaskar is joining us from Bengaluru. Good evening, Bhaskar. Thank you for calling us here on Mirror Now. What is it that you would like to ask? Mr. Bhaskar, can you hear me? Could you just put your television on mute? Okay, I don't think he's able to hear me. Let's get another viewer joining us on the broadcast. We have Gayatri from Thane. Gayatri, good evening. Thank you for calling us here on Mirror Now. What is it that you would like to ask?
Hello.
Gayatri, can you hear me? Yes, go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, Gayatri, we can hear you.
Yeah, this is regarding the COVID situation presently over here. My suggestion would be that it's not the right time for the students to attend the school. I think we should still wait and watch how is the Omicron goes on.
All right. Gayatri, appreciate you joining us here on Mirror Now and sharing with us your perspective, your concern. It seems that you still are not convinced with what the doctors, the experts clearly on the panel had to say. We have another viewer, Roshan Lal, joining us from Kurukshetra. Roshan Lal, thank you for calling us. What is it that you would like to ask?
Yes, madam, I would like to say...
Could you just put your television on mute?
Yes, I have put it on mute, madam. I have.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, madam, just I want to express my views after wishing you good evening, that in our life, we are on the wrong side of precautions now. Our education is equally important and we cannot neglect it just by presuming that risk is there. Though in every aspect of life, whenever you leave the premises of your home, you have to encounter some sort of risk. That risk does persist. And when international opinion is in favor of opening the school, why not comply with that decision? And even scientists say that it is so mild a fever, it is so mild a virus, that it cannot pose any threat to the life of the students.
So you also believe it is the right time to reopen schools. Mr. Roshan Lal, appreciate you joining us here on Mirror Now and sharing with us your perspective. But Dr. Dalwai and Ms. Archana had wanted to say something, I think, to what Gayatri mentioned. Dr. Dalwai, 10 seconds to you.
I don't want to be rude, but if a particular parent doesn't want to send their children to school, it's up to you. Don't send for the next 10 years. But don't create a fear mongering that it is not safe for other children to go to school. To what Mr. Roshan Lal said, let me add, he's correct. In Mumbai, if you look at the number of deaths that have happened, unfortunately, on the road, in traffic accidents, when children are going to schools, there is this unfortunate habit of packing children in vans and sending them. Every 2 years, there's an explosion because these vans run out of gas, and very horribly, children have died. The number of dying on road accidents going to school is far more than what happened to COVID. Why did we shut down schools that time? So if somebody is afraid, please don't send your child to school. Let them stay at home for 10 years, but don't create an atmosphere.
Well, don't be so angry, Dr. Dalwai, because if it's a concern, I think it's important to address that concern, allay the fear, and maybe bring that confidence back. Why are you getting so angry? Miss Archana, 10 seconds to you to what Gayatri specifically said. Then I have another viewer joining us.
Yes. I want to ask Gayatri ma'am that she is not allowing the child to come to school. Right. Absolutely fine. That is her call, her decision. But I want an answer from the parents that are you making the child sit inside the house 24/7 is my first question. Secondly, how can you stop a virus of the corona coming into your house? It can come by any which ways.
Okay.
How will you identify and stop that? If
It
these
doesn't see
questions
whether
we
it's a
ask,
school, a college, or a home. It can actually come anywhere. So the idea is to protect yourself. Let's get another caller joining us. Yes, absolutely. Rajesh from the National Capital. Good evening, Mr. Rajesh. Thank you for calling us here on Mirror Now. What is it that you will like to ask?
Ma'am, I am a teacher. I'm a lecturer in the school. And what we noticed in the last 1.5 years is that, the first pandemic means the first wave or the second wave. And, the issues were taken up by some parents in order for not sending their kids to the school became almost a kind of a saving, the school fees and all. And for that purpose, the parents went to the court also. So what I'm saying is that, yes, these are the right times. The precautions have to be taken. I agree. Schools are responsible. But at the same time, just few people harboring this particular interest and all of not sending the children to the school on the name should not be taken up. Precautions should be taken. Schools should be open.
Okay.
It's a pretty long time that we have missed education.
Absolutely. Rajesh, appreciate you calling us here on Mirror Now and sharing with us your perspective. Now, Mr. Ravi Raja, as I was saying earlier that I have a question for you. Now, Ms. Archana gave us this assurance that schools are ready to follow the SOPs that will be given to them. They've been following it so far as well. Are there any sort of checks that happen, from BMC, whether these are actually being followed or not?
No. See, the Maharashtra government and the Mumbai BMC has given a clear-cut SOPs for each schools. And as you know, that the BMC have their own beat officers who is looking after the each schools in each zone. So there will be a random checking done and finding out whether these all SOPs are followed or not. Because see, children who are coming to school.
Okay, so random checks will happen. So that 100%. Should clearly serve as another assurance to the parents who are still concerned. Yes. I want to give the last word now to Dr. Jesal. What will you say, ma'am, to the parents who are still worried? Even though all of you tried to convince them that, they are safe, don't worry. But still there are many who are concerned. Your last comments to them.
I think I'm a pediatrician and I'm a parent too, so I totally understand what are the concerns of the parents, and I do not want to falsely assure you. You send your child to school only when you are convinced, and schools are going to give you a lot of flexibility, but at the same time, always think one thing in the mind: what is the right thing for the child? Because minute as we think, we have our anxieties as a parents, but we always have to think what is the best thing. And I think children are quite okay from the academic point of view. They have a more problems of coping skills, emotional quotient, social skills. And this is the reason we need to send the children to the school someday. And none of us are assured that pandemic is going to end in January, February or this year. So we have to take the risk, and, at some point we have to send the children to the school. And I think, I am ready mentally to take that risk.
Okay, I think Mr. Ravi Raja also wanted to make a point. So 10 seconds only. I'm completely out of time.
We have a staggered timing. See, the school is not going to go for 7 hours or 8 hours. It will be only for, a short period, because we got a staggered timing, and that has been there clearly on the SOPs. So I think the parents worried. I understand, children are children, so parents will be worried. But the time has come, that you have to come out from the fear. The children has to go to the school, and proper care has to be. Safety of the children is the utmost for the school and the Bombay Municipal Corporation and the state government.
Can I just make a comment?
All right. I appreciate all of you for joining us here on this debate on Mirror Now. And thank you very much for allaying the concerns of the parents as well across the country of our viewers who called us during the debate. We'll see what decision is finally taken by the Maharashtra government tomorrow about the reopening of schools. With this, we will slip into a very, very short break, but there's lots lined up for you on the other side as well. Stay with us.